Ro Khanna, you worked in the Obama administration on a lot of small business issues. You've written a book about entrepreneurship. And what we're talking about now is both the kind of politics of the term small business, but then the actual economic role of small businesses. And then finally, whether we should actually be crafting government policy around small businesses.
Well, when it comes to economic growth and job creation, not all small businesses are equal. The small businesses that have created the most jobs are the ones that have come in existence the last 5 years.
Right, exactly.
They're the startups. And when you look at what those startups are in, it's in clean technology, biotechnology, information technology. And it's often started by immigrants. So what are the policies then? Let's have an immigration reform. Let's have investment in our national laboratories. Let's have investment in ARPA-E and science and technology university research. You know, it's much more comprehensive how to foster startups than just cutting the marginal tax rate on wealthy individuals.
This is a really important point about job creation, right? Because the other stat we get is about small businesses creating most of the jobs. Of course, small businesses, when they're 99.7% of the businesses, that shouldn't be surprising. That's a sort of just statistical tautology in some ways. But the places where you do see more job creation is in small startup firms. In the first 5 years of firms, that's where you're getting the most. And there is a really interesting trend that's happened in the economy, which is that firm creation and startups have declined, and in a disturbing way. I think we have a chart of new businesses. A number of U.S. companies less than a year old starts to decline. Now, it starts to decline not when the tyrannical socialism of Barack Obama is imposed on the nation, but actually way back in 2006. And it actually, that last part of the chart is pretty striking. I mean, there is something happening. Now, it might just be that that's when the housing bubble bursts and then we have this long recession, so people aren't starting businesses because they don't think there's going to be customers for them. But that strikes me as something important and a genuine problem to think about. You don't think so?
No. I mean, what it takes to be a business is to print a business card in this country. Most businesses are sole proprietors.
Right.
If you say you're a businessman, you're a businessman. That's one of the good things about this country.
Whether you're Jay-Z or not.
Exactly. Right. I mean, the challenge is we don't need more entrepreneurs in this country. We need actually a more inclusive, better trained entrepreneurial class, right? If all of these universities and corporations and government officials say we need a diverse, prepared workforce, some of those people in the workforce are going to start their own businesses. We want them ready. If they're listening to Donald Trump, we're screwed, right? Because Donald Trump believes all you need is a great idea,
right,
a good attitude, and hard work.
This is the story. This is the story we hear.
That's the unholy trinity of business in America, right? But there's no data to prove that that's enough. And everything else is what I call invisible capital, all those things. And a perfect example is if the 5 things that are the only statistically significant things that will improve your chances in business, according to the Kauffman Foundation, which is the preeminent
this huge study that I was reading. Yeah.
And they do studies all the time, and they're respected by Democrats and Republicans and the like. They say that it is access to sufficient startup capital, formal education, choice of industry, which is what you were just talking about, previous work experience in a relevant field, and previous work experience in a family-owned business. Those are the only 5 statistically significant factors that improve your chance in business.
I mean, you and I both agree about this. There's this sort of cult of the entrepreneur, right? Everyone wants to be the entrepreneur.
Totally.
And when we think of that, we think of Richard Branson or Mark Zuckerberg, which is not the reality for most people. Running your own company is very hard, and it's very scary, and you're up at 3 in the morning. Right. That said, I do think it's important to support small business, A, for job growth, and B, because a lot of innovation comes from these small businesses. I would like to do a study one day of big business and small business and try and get the same thing through, the same idea or anything through, and see how long it takes through a small business and a large business.
Yeah, please.
Well, no, I was going to say that I thought, Ro, your point really was good. We're talking about it politically, we dumb it down, and we act as though government can somehow pick the winner small business and the loser small business. And in fact, it should be at the focus of the individual startup business or macro policies like immigration reform, where you're going to get people who've got an incredible amount of energy, or education, which is getting increasingly impoverished. impoverished and where it's out of reach for lots of folks. Or infrastructure, which we should have been building. We need more broadband in Vermont for folks to be able to come up from New York and bring their good ideas to Vermont. And these are macro policies that only government can do. The micro, picking whether you're going to be successful or you're going to be successful, we're really bad at. But the macro is where you need governmental investment in these things that then give somebody with a good idea, willingness to work hard, a shot at getting
And
successful.
there's one more area of policy that no one ever talks about, and that there has basically been a consensus on since Reagan, which is antitrust policy. There is nothing in this country, we just do not care about antitrust enforcement anymore, more or less. There's a few exceptions that prove the rule. But I want to ask about, do we actually value small business in any real way in a world of Walmart and Amazon? Right after this.